What up, folk? Boston Black, PopStopSauces.com. If you like this video, please take a moment and give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Today, what we're going to be doing is changing this ferment into the sauce, to the hot sauce. Pretty and sweet Coco Reaps. As the title suggests, the star of this show is going to be chocolate reapers. Yeah. What this sauce entails is chocolate reapers, Trinidad Scorpions sweets, yellow Scotch bonnets, orange habaneros, Mayan orange habaneros, Marachi hybrids, Hungarian carrots, New Mex twilights, mini sweets, some scallions, beets and beet greens, ginger, celery, parsley, and a lime. And as always, what's included in the ferment is our seasoning pack. First thing we're going to do is open it up, appreciate it visually, and see if it meets our smell test, which I'm almost positive it will. Very little camel yeast at first glance. Very little bit. Very fine layer just going across the top of the brine. Smells wonderful as always. Looks beautiful. Love the color. Color is just gorgeous. All right, now we're going to set up, break everything down, separate the brine from the rest of the ingredients, pull out everything that we're going to juice, and then put the peppers aside. Be right back. Okay, now that we're set up, as part of our setup process, before we even get started filming, everything is cleaned and sanitized before we even start. And then we come back and re-sanitize with by spraying it with vodka right before we film. That's why you see on any of the glass, any of our containers and implements, you'll notice that it's wet. So that's what that is. Now, we're going to start this off again by separating everything into our strainer. Before I do that, I'm going to hit this with some vodka. Then we're going to get on it. Start out by removing our weight. And our plastic bag. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll pour out as much of the brine at a free fall. And then I'll start pulling out the peppers, which, I mean, honestly, they look phenomenal. Get as many of these out as I can without actually pulling out my juicing products. Take out my lime and squeeze out as much of the juice as possible. Should be another half in here somewhere, but we'll get at it in a minute. I've gotten a good portion of my peppers out. Just gonna make the separation of the juice ingredients go a little smoother and quicker. I should probably put something on for this red juice. I don't feel like walking over there. I'll get it in a minute. Anyway, then we're going to start the dump again. And most of the juicing ingredients today are going to be the ginger. We have some cilantro, parsley, the beets, and the beet greens. Anything that's not peppers, we juice, if possible. With the exception of garlic and onions. But everything else pretty much gets juiced. And look at these ingredients. Beets are perfect. Nice and tender. Beet greens. Ginger. Beautiful color. There's my other lime. Did I get that on me? Now it's time for one of my favorite tasks when I'm making hot sauce, the juicing. A juice to separate the nutrients and the taste, which is the juice, from the fiber. When I do this, it allows the only solids to be in my hot sauce. Peppers. Makes a pure pepper-based sauce. In juicing, I start by taking the hard products, basically the ginger, and getting them going. Then I come back with the soft, basically the greens. Follow that up with what might as well be soft with some of the beets, but the beets are a little bit more firmer, more juicier, so they'll go in a little easier. Then I come back with some hard to push everything through. Again, soft goes in, come back with some hard to push it through. Seasoning pack. Okay, now we're getting down to where we're finishing up. The last thing you want to put through your juicer is hard. You want to make sure to hang on to at least a few hard pieces so that when it goes through, it pushes anything that's soft through. Okay, now you'll see what we juice. Look at this. Fiber. Now we'll set this aside and use it for aromatics. Dry it out completely and use it for aromatics and in our seasoning, our spicy seasoning rubs. This is what we juice. Beautiful. All nutrients and taste, none of the fiber. Okay, now we broke out the big dog and we'll get the first blending process started. I should use these all the time, but since we are using ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers, I'm going to make sure I cover my eyes when processing this. Matter of fact, I'm going to put on an apron, because this can get quite violent. So better use precaution. Okay, now, what I want to go ahead and do is add 2 cups of my brine. Before I actually add my brine, I'm going to take a moment and double check that pH. When it comes to pH, you want your pH to be between 3.2 and 4.4. Anything that's below 4.5 is considered shelf stable. .9 again. We're at 3.9. Now, once we actually complete our sauce, we'll retest the pH again just to make sure. Now, I take my 2 cups of brine, add it to my mix, and I'll start to blend again. Okay. At this time, I want to go ahead and I want to add my vinegar to my sauce. Since this is a red sauce and it has pretty much a fruit in it, which I know that beets are a vegetable, but they're sweet like a fruit, so we'll treat it like a fruit. And the vinegar that we'll be adding today is red wine vinegar and apple cider. Start with 4 ounces of red wine. And then we'll go 4 ounces of apple cider, organic apple cider. Again, when it comes to vinegar, we add vinegar for taste and not to stabilize. Our sauce is already stabilized. So we just add the vinegar for taste. Okay, now it's time for the second part of our blend. Basically, we have a little bit more than 2 liters. So we're going to take a liter and put into our blender. That we'll go ahead and we'll start the blend. Be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll add another half cup of brine. And I'll go ahead and I'll put in my xanthan gum. We use xanthan gum to help hold everything together once we bottle it. And I use a half teaspoon of that. Okay, now we'll take a look at it and we'll check the consistency and we'll give it a taste. We'll step back from it because I know the aroma is just gonna kill me. Beautiful. I mean, from this distance, see everybody be putting their nose all over you. You ain't even got if you can't smell it from here, you done did something wrong. Beautiful. Okay, let's check the consistency of it. Look at here. Now that's a sauce. That's how you want your sauce. Again, my neighbor take this and he cut it and double it. But man, I like mine just like this. Get that. Look at that. Okay, here we go. Try to be serious about it. Get an evaluation of it. Taste is good. Not too bad going down at first. Consistently building. Yep. Building, but the heat not too bad. It's building. Okay. Flavor is always phenomenal. Immediately gets your mouth to the juices flowing. Really good flavor. Heat comes at such an even rise that it is not overbearing. And the secret to using extremely hot peppers is the blend. The blend makes it all the better. So if you are interested in trying hot peppers, I suggest blending it with something that's not hot at all. And finding that balance of heat and sweet, and then working with that. But this is good. Really good. Now we'll go ahead and we'll start our pasteurizing process to halt the fermentation process and ensure that once it goes into the bottles, it doesn't overpressurize the bottles. Okay, now our blender reads 166. But we want to double check that with our thermometer to make sure. Perfect timing too. $166. So now, what I'll do is I'll stop the pasteurization process, and I want to add a half a cup of dried habaneros. Freshly picked dried habaneros. Just to give it a slightly different flavor profile. Kick that heat up a notch. I want to go half a cup of this. We start to blend. Let's chop that up. Okay. Now that our final blend is done, give it its final taste. See where we're at. Okay. Let's try this again. I'm gonna have to step back again. Woo! Smell is phenomenal. Look here. Now that's how you want your sauce. Not runny, nice and smooth, perfect consistency. Oh my gosh. Here we go. With the habaneros. Fresh habaneros. Freshly picked habaneros. The heat attacks completely around the back of my mouth. With the fresh habaneros, it seemed like the heat pick up a little quicker. Not necessarily, which makes it seem more intense, but it's actually not. It's not actually more intense. It just seemed more intense because it hit so much faster. It's already to the tip of my tongue. And it basically encapsulated my entire mouth. From my throat, it seemed like it went across the top part of my mouth and then hit the tip of my tongue. And I'm trying not to lick my lips. What you do without even thinking about it because your mouth is watering so much. Excellent. Anyway, we're going to move on to our bottling process. And as you know, this is heavy, so I pour everything into a lighter container. Something that's easier to handle. I'll go ahead and I'll set up to start the second half of my or the second liter. Now, take my funnel, now put it in my bottle, put it in one of the bottles. All right, I already sprayed it with alcohol. As you can see, got this mark on this container, exactly 5.5 ounces. The bottle is a 5-ounce bottle, but it holds to the top between 5.5 and 6 ounces. So I got it marked at 5.5 ounces. I take this pour my sauce in to my mark. The idea is that I have enough sauce in here for one bottle. Take my bottle, I raise the funnel out of the bottle so air can escape. And then I just fill it. Show you again. Sauce to my mark. Raise the funnel out of the bottle so the air can escape once the sauce goes in the bottle. Pour it in. There we go. Now, I'll take a paper towel. And even though I didn't really make a mess, I'll go across the threads. Move into a different piece of the paper towel for every bottle. And in case you're wondering, even when I use the bottle filler, because you know I use a bottle filler when I'm just doing it without the film. But anyway, even when I use the bottle filler, I still do that process just to make sure that any drop or whatever is off the threads before I put my cap on or my orifice on. You take your orifice and you snap them on. From there, take your bottle caps and you put them on. Again, you want to clean and sanitize your bottles, your caps, and your orifices before you start, or your orifice. I think that's singular and plural. There you have it, folks. Pretty and sweet cocoa heat. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day. Peace.